As the lights go down and the screen comes up, all you see is little burning coals, the little rhythmic yellow, orange, and red that's been left over from a fire the night before. You see her face gently bend down and blow into it. And as they start to light up, almost as this electricity happening in them, small pieces of kindling are put on and the little flame sparks up. It's enough light to let me see the corner of the little brick house from whence she is getting everything prepared. A few more little pieces of wood, and then another, and then a crude pot with water is put on it, and water is set to boil. Meanwhile, in front of the lens, he walks by. He's gone to the big metal latch on the wooden door. He has quietly opened it. He's let the gray light from the morning now come in. It allows the air to breathe and smoke to rise up the corner from inside the house, and he shudders with the chill that comes in from outside. The bodies that have been sleeping here have made a good 25 to 30 degree difference from the world outside. It's a wake-up call. He packs the few things that he has laid out into the bag that's been gone over the night before, over and over and over again. And even though she said it 1,000 times, she still feels the need to tell him how to be a good parent. Make sure he drinks plenty of water. Babe, I know that. And make sure you keep your hands on him at all times. Babe, I got this. And he's got to eat. I know you will go for days without eating, but the boy has to, babe, trust me, he's my kid too. And she nods. It's not just a mother's care. There's something here in the moment that I sense. There's a tension between the couple as they both turn and look at the young boy who's still asleep on the mat in the corner. He simply looks at her and one more reassurance. I got this. And she replies, do you have any idea what you're doing? It's been always hard to keep truth from her, and this is not the moment to lie. So he shrugs his shoulders and says, I don't know. But I got this. And with that, he goes to the corner and he puts his hand on the shoulder of his son and gently wakes him. That usually needs to be done 5, 6, 8 times at this hour in the morning. But the boy's been told today's a journey with Dad. And so as his eyes flutter open, he actually sits up. He's ready for this as well. And as they share a hot cup of tea, small little portions of bread, they both give mom and wife a hug, and they close the big wooden door behind them, and Dad has a firm grip on the cloak on the shoulder of his son, and they start to walk. I'm a little confused by all that's happening here, but it's got me intrigued. In the way films can, the screen goes dark and picks up an entirely different shot. All you see is a trail of little pebbles and beaten down dried earth, little stones, and then a giant sandal foot comes into frame and flops. Shocks me a little bit. Followed by another, and then another. And as sandals do going down steep trails, sometimes they slide and little clouds of dust from the parched earth slide out. The back of the sandals throw up little tiny rocks and pebbles that catch the back of the calf. And all we do is we follow them down the trail. And as the camera backs up, we see one lone figure of a man making his way down, 3 companions that are some 10, 15 feet behind him. No one is saying a word, but they're all glancing at each other and shaking their heads. Something has just happened, and I realized this is a sequel. They just saw him blow up on the mountain. They just saw him become like the sun, like lightning. It wasn't a miracle. It was a pause in the ongoing miracle. They caught a glimpse of the God he has always been, long before a manger, and the God that he is today, long after the empty tomb. And they caught a glimpse, and Mo and Elijah and Peter still wondering, why did he say anything? But in all of their minds, they're wondering, what does rising from the dead mean? I mean, first of all, who can kill this guy? He's untouchable. What does rising from the dead mean? Man, that's the question you got to ponder. Why in the world do some believe that some dude got killed 2,000 years ago and it has something to do with you today? And if you haven't found the answer to that question, you haven't found your answer yet. What does rising from the dead mean? And they walk down the trail. And as we follow them in silence through the dried brush, the cacti, we slowly see them come to the bottom. A crowd starts running toward them. And in the distance, a father holding the shoulder of a young son are coming from different directions. And two worlds are about to collide. If you got your own flat screen, open it up where we left off last night, Mark chapter 9. We pick it up right where we left off last night, Mark chapter 9. Verse 14. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. Look for the guys' names in the back. If you hit anything that ends in an IANS, you've gone too far. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Mark 9:14. We left the mountaintop. We left Mo and Eli. We left the cloud. We left the God saying, I have one son whom I love. You listen to him. Show is over if you're trying to do anything else. And in verse 14, when they came to the other disciples, they saw a large crowd around them and the teachers of the law arguing with them. And as soon as all the people saw Jesus, they were overwhelmed with wonder and they ran to greet him. Oh, there's so much in two little sentences here. There's so much that help explain your life and my life. This is why Peter wanted to make tents on the mountaintop. This is why Peter wanted to stay up there. Because sometimes it sucks to go back home. All the problems are back home. Are you kidding me? Mo, Elijah, Jesus going full lightning boy. Let's stay up here for a while. These are my heroes of the faith. I grew up playing with Moses and Elijah action figures. Peter, James, and John wore little Moses PJs to bed at night when they were little. They zipped all the way up. They had little staff and commandments and rocks on them. You want to stay up there. You want to stay where God is doing something. You want to stay where God is making sense. But men weren't made to live on the mountaintop. Men were made for the valley. That's what sets men apart. I'm not saying women aren't strong. The strongest person in our family may be a woman. Maybe actually 3 women. I'm not saying women can't be courageous. They're incredibly courageous. But let me tell you, if your city is safe, it's because men are standing guard, not women. If an army is mighty, it's because men are holding a front line, not women. And you show me a home that is built on something solid, and I promise you there's a man that knows who he is. Men are made for the valleys. Men are made to tough it out. Men are different beasts. We're a little brutal, and we're supposed to be that way. It doesn't mean a man can't be delicate. It doesn't mean a man can't be artsy. It doesn't mean a man can just sit around and play the violin and smoke a fine cigar. That's beautiful. Men come in every shape and every size. I'm not saying you have to be testosterone and all yoked up. I ain't. I got more chub than muscles. That's fine. That's who I am. I'm a soft dough boy of a guy trying to grow a beard to be more manly. It ain't working. You can be whatever you want to be. But what I'm telling you, a man is made and a man is built for others. That's who you are. And you show me a guy that's building for himself, and I'll show you a boy in man's clothing. It's always been that way. And there's the problem with America today. America is filled and run by a bunch of 30, 40, 50, 60-year-old boys in men's clothing, and we don't know who we are. And Peter goes, man, I want to stay at the retreat. I want to stay on the mountaintop. Man, it is good. And Jesus goes, no, this is just to fuel you for what's going on down below. Well, what's going on down below? Everyone's in an argument. This is why I wanted to stay at the mountaintop. And when they saw Jesus, they were overwhelmed with wonder and ran to greet him. Hey, let me go from teaching to meddling for a second. I found this true in every aspect of my life. In every area of my life where I'm caught up in conflict and argument, I'm far from the life of Christ. And that's why I'm caught up in conflict and argument. Jesus is up on the mountaintop. What happens to the rest of the 9? He took 3 with him. They're caught up in conflict and argument with teachers of the law. Both groups should know better. And what are they doing? They're caught up in conflict and argument. And the moment Jesus comes back into proximity, people run with an amazement. Let me tell you, I don't know what's going on with you and your wife right now, but I promise you this, if it's that bad, you don't have the presence of Christ working in the midst of it. You don't. And the issue might not be the issue. The issue may mean, man, I got to go back to being the man controlled by my father, not a part of my life, but all of this. And we're about to see that story take place. And when people run and they set their eyes on Jesus, they are filled with wonder, and it seems like the conflict and the argument signs to tone down a little bit. But then watch what it's about and watch what's happening. What are you arguing with them about? Jesus asked. And a man in the crowd answered. Okay, it's a comedy. You may not get it. We got to stop reading this book like ancient literature. We read this book like ancient literature, and it's real people in real time, in real place, doing real things. It ain't literature. It's telling us real stories of real people. Chris, why do you do stories? Because I read a sentence, and then I go back and I stand there, and I just watch the entire scene from about 6 different areas, and I move around the scene, I move around the crowd until stuff like this hits me. What are you arguing with them about? Who is Jesus asking the question to? You got the right answer. I just want to make sure everyone has it. Who is Jesus asking the question to? The disciples. The disciples are in an argument with the teachers of the law. And Jesus comes back and goes, guys, you're better than this. Men, you've been walking with me for a time now. You're better than this. What are you arguing about? And the disciples say what? Nothing. You know why? Because I'm all in argument, I'm all in conflict. And then Jesus goes, what are you in conflict about? And I'm like, it seems kind of stupid now talking to you. What are you arguing with them about? And the disciples are like, dang. And the dude answers. The dad feels bad, like he threw the disciples under the bus. It's actually about me. I'm over here. A man in the crowd. Don't even have a name. He's just a man in the crowd. Teacher, I brought to you my son. He's possessed by a spirit that has robbed him, circle, highlight, underline, robbed him of his speech. Whenever it seizes him, it throws him into the ground. He foams at the mouth. He gnashes his teeth. He becomes rigid. I asked your disciples to drive out the spirit, but they could not. What are you arguing about right now? What is the conflict going on in your life? And we got all the reasons for it, and still we stand in front of Christ, and then we're like, well, it seems kind of stupid now. And the guy goes, it's me. This is my son. We left home 3 days ago. I've done everything I can as a man. I've tried my best for my family, and it's obvious my best isn't good enough for my family. We've been robbed. But I heard that you touch the infection and the pus and the sores of leprosy, and molecules can rearrange. That's not my boy's problem. I heard you spit a loogie in the mud and put it on a blind guy's eyes and he can see. But that's not my boy's problem. A couple towns over, they're saying that you walk on water. I wouldn't believe any one of these stories, but when 5, 6, 7, 8 start coming in, when the paralyzed guy is now walking down Main Street saying what happened, when the blind guy is moving around town telling people why he's got 20/20 vision, well, it's hard to argue. But I heard you took legions and you threw them into pigs. I think that's our problem. There's something spiritually going on in my home right now, in my marriage. There's something spiritually going on with my family. And we're just robbed. I don't think this is the life we're supposed to live. If there is a God, I don't think this is the home he wants me to be leading. So I brought him here, and the disciples said you were gone. So I asked them to help, and they couldn't. I'm the problem. Oh, unbelieving generation, Jesus replied. How long shall I stay with you? How long shall I put up with you? Bring the boy to me. Now, we got to be very clear on this. Who is Jesus answering? Not the dad. He's speaking to the disciples. He's speaking to the disciples. In chapter 3:15 and chapter 6:7, he's already given them power to do miracles and cast out demons. And they ain't. And they ain't. Isn't that good? No, you're looking at Chris, that's bad. No, for us today, isn't that good? Let me ask you a question, but don't raise your hand, because if you raise your hand, either one or two things. You misunderstood the question or you're a liar, and I don't want you to be pointed out. Because I would ask you, how many of you men are living out your full spiritual potential right now? Ain't a one of you. Isn't that good? Neither did they, and they're walking with Jesus. He's like, I've already taught you how to do this. Oh, unbelieving generation. How long do I have to put up with you? And Jesus took his finger and he flicked all disciples to the center of the sun, where they are still burning in agony today. That's good Bible. Unfortunately, it's not in the Bible, which is probably good for us. We have Jesus dealing with men, thick-headed, hard-hearted dudes. Are you kidding me? I've taught you how to do this. I've told you you can do this. Why aren't you doing this? How long do I have to put up with you? And he answers his own question. Let's do it again. And you're like, whew, thought I was going to get flicked to the center of the sun. He's like, no, Chris, you're an idiot. And I'm like, oh, you know me. He goes, I created you. You're going to get it one of these days. Okay, guys, we're going to do this again, okay? I want you to see this. Bring the boy to me. And the father takes his son and he brings him to Jesus. Oh, guys, this is good news for every man in the room that knows I'm not living up to my potential. Every man in the room that knows, man, I got to be doing something different. Every man that goes, man, how many more men's retreats am I going to come and make a decision on Saturday night only to let it leave on my drive home? Man, how many more times am I going to go, now's the point I'm going to get serious with God? And I feel, and you know what? You only have to do that a couple times before you realize what? That's right, you're a failure. And your word's no good, even when your word is to God. And I want to give you some encouragement. No, you're a son who's walking with a dad that understands sometimes this takes time, but keep walking with me, boy. Sometimes God goes, how long do I have to put up with you? My Lord, Joe, how long do I have to put up with you? I can flick him to the center of the sun, or I can walk with him. Come on, Joe, bring me the boy. And Joe's like, whoa. He's like, Lord, and you're in leadership for Pete's sake. This is good news of the patience of Jesus for every man in the room. Bring the boy to me. So they brought him, and when the spirit saw Jesus, it immediately threw the boy into convulsions. He fell to the ground. He rolled around, foaming at the mouth. And Jesus asked the boy's father, how long has he been like this? From childhood, he answered. It's often thrown him into the fire or into water, trying to kill him. But if you can do anything, can you just take pity on us and help? Oh, stop. Go there. Go there. It's a real story about real people doing real things in real time, in real place. Go to the northern edge of the Sea of Galilee. Go back 2,000 years and watch the scene. Understand what Dad's words do. They're not just sentences that explain how we got to be careful around fire or water. He just summed up all of living 2,000 years ago in the Sea of Galilee. Get your mind around that. How much of your life daily is around either fire or water? Every moment. Every house has a fire going in it. It's the only way you cook. It's the only way you keep warm. We live next to the Sea of Galilee. We either are running canals for irrigation to grow things, but we fish. Oh, do you see what Dad is saying? Jesus goes, tell me what's going on. How long has this been happening? If I'm going to be honest with you, I think that the moment we got married and started having kids, we've been broken. And this hits every aspect of our life. Haven't you realized that as a man? I met a guy out in our plaza a couple years ago. I knew him well. I know he's going through a difficult time. I know his company downsized and moved out of California. I know he's overeducated, overexperienced, and he can't find work. I know they sold their house because they couldn't make the payments. He lost it. And I know as a dad with 3 teenagers, he had to move back in with his in-laws. Yeah, they're good people. Oh, but you take a hit. I'm bringing your daughter and your young adult grandkids back to live in 2 rooms of your house. And I caught him in the plaza, and I'll call him Craig because his name's Craig, and I'm all, Craig. How you guys doing? And he goes, Chris, we're actually doing really good right now. But I've learned how to deal with guys. I not only speak Martian, I'm from Mars. So me put hand on shoulder and say, Craig, how you really doing? And he looked at me and he goes, Chris, Cynthia and I are actually really good. And that's all I needed to hear. If that's good, you're good. If that's good, you're good. Meanwhile, ironically, a month earlier, I had a meeting in my office with a guy who's by far the most well-known in his sector of what he does, making great 7, maybe 8 figures a year. His wife has got a $30,000 a month allowance. She's allowed to spend $30,000 a month. And they have so much anger towards each other. They drive separately to my office. She gets there early. He shows up 15 minutes late. I have 2 chairs, and the first thing he does is pull his away from her, and he sits down. She hasn't been able to keep her monthly allowance budget for the last 1.5 years. I'm trying to pretend like I hear everything, and I'm not surprised, but I'm like, you can't keep $30,000 a month? Huh? Man, I got a problem with you. And I'm like, does she take care of the home, bills? He goes, no, Chris, this is no food, no bills. No, it's just purely entertainment stuff. She'll grab 6 of her friends and they'll all go first class to London and they'll spend 5. And I'm like, oh, okay, you can blow through that. She's got horses now. She's almost, okay, you can blow through that. And they can't stand each other. I've publicly been with this guy to lunch 2 different times. And every time I've been to lunch, people come by the table and interrupt just to take a picture or ask for an autograph. Not with me. Gentlemen, our life is not supposed to revolve around a woman. A woman is way too small of an orbit for a man. But I promise you, the moment you said I do, the 2 became one flesh, one bios. And if that ain't working well, you ain't working well. And if there's a problem going on in the home and you've been robbed, let me promise you, no matter what you're making and what you do and how many autographs you sign, you ain't good. There is something innate in the heart of every man, whether you know Christ here today or not. You are made and built for others, not yourself. And when those significant relationships of spouse or sons or daughters, mom, when they ain't working, you ain't working. And I don't care how many salutes you get in the corporate world. And I promised her I was going to take care of him. I promised her that we're going to eat. I promised her he'd drink plenty of water. But I also promised her we're not coming home until we got to you. But this is not the home I'm supposed to have. Have you been there? I found this. And nowadays you have to check 9 times to make sure it's true. But what police officers found inside the house on that day, on May 29th, became a local legend for a short time. And in the last 12 years has remained one around the city inspections department. The first hint of something going wrong was a stench emanating from the living room, a pungent mixture of urine and mildew that you could smell outside the house. Multiple calls, welfare checks were called to 911 because of different food delivery people saying that once the door opened, they couldn't breathe. What police officers found that day when they went to check on the house was horrifying. As they went in, one said later, the place turned into kind of a fun house where the ground, the floor, rises up, the walls shrink in. Both officers, to move inside the hallway, had to duck down and put their hand on the ceiling because of the amount of garbage that was building up. It was piled up over 4 feet high on the floors of the living room, dining room. There's bags of garbage, trash, strewn old clothing, rotted food, busted toys, small appliances, mail order catalogs, newspapers that dated back as long as 8 years ago. A photograph was taken by the city inspector, who was immediately called to the house. It shows 2 uniformed officers hunched over at the waist, arms up to keep from hitting their heads on the ceiling. In the dark, you see the electricity had been cut off for over 3 years at this point. And these officers had to make their way through the house. More officers were called because the initial officers couldn't go more than 20 feet without coming outside for fresh air. In the kitchen, they found 3 children, a 9-year-old and 6-year-old girls. The 6-year-old girls were both functionally deaf. And there was a 2-year-old baby later found sitting in diapers on a stack of mashed papers and candy wrappers in the middle of an excavated pathway. The girls sat together near the refrigerator from which years-old food and roaches spilled out. The door couldn't shut anymore, and the twins seemed to share a rapid-fire sign language that no one else could comprehend. What happened that day in St. Paul, Minnesota, when authorities discovered the home, 37,000 pounds of garbage, trash, and human waste had to be taken out into dumpsters. Mr. Egert said he was relieved that the nightmare of their family could finally be over. Michael and his 4 children had retreated to tiny areas of their 5-room home by the time their garbage-packed house and garage in a middle-class neighborhood were uncovered. I always thought, I'm going to get to it, Mr. Egert said. But a few years ago, he said he began to feel hopeless of ever changing anything about his life and his family. I guess you get to a point where you just give up, Mr. Egert said. I'm having a hard time understanding how this all happened. I remembered feeling there wasn't anything I could do about it. When I went into the house, I just blanked the entire mess out of my mind. Now the Egerts are trying to understand how they allowed their lives to run utterly out of control. In the months before the house was discovered, the entire family slept on a single set of bunk beds. Clean clothes were stored in closets and stuffed into bureau drawers. A clear path led from the beds through putrid piles of soiled diapers, garbage, and plastic bags of trash years old. Without running water for the past 2.5 years, the Egerts said they washed their clothes at a commercial laundry. They carried home jugs of water from the gas station nearby or the nearby brewery. They stood in plastic baby tubs and poured water over themselves to wash. They went to the bathroom in plastic trash bags, tied them up, and threw them on top of the pile. The kids asked about it at first, Mr. Egert said, who was laid off 4 years ago by the city parks department. They wanted to know why the house was getting dirty. I guess I told them it was going to get better, but it kept getting worse. Several times, he said, I tried to start cleaning the mess at home. Once I even called the disposal company, but I couldn't afford to pay the cost of the trash bin. He goes, I know my children have suffered. I hate myself for it, he said. It kept the kids from doing a lot they should have been able to do. I know they've got to have a lot of anger at me, not being able to have friends and having a horrible secret that they've had to hide this entire time. When this happened, I realized I needed help, he said. I figured this was the place to come. But until you realize yourself that you need help, you don't get it. And by the time I did finally realize it, I realized it was too late. In an average middle-class suburb of Minneapolis, from the outside, it looked like all is well. The closer you got to the doors or windows, there was a stench. But it wasn't until you got inside you found out that the family was hiding. 37,000 pounds of trash was removed from their home. Have you been there? In your singleness today? Or in your marriage today, in your family, in your home? This isn't how I'm supposed to be living. There's supposed to be something different. I keep saying I'm going to get at it. I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to do something about it. At times I've made the call. At times I've made the prayer. At times I've made, but and it becomes overwhelming, and you just decide to just black it out of your mind when you go back home. No wonder you wanted to stay on the mountaintop. And I love that word. Circle, highlight, underline. We've been robbed. I love the way Jesus says in John 10:10, the thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. He goes, but I've come that you may not just have life, but have life. I'm not going to ask you to raise your hands right now. It's a take home. It's an inside answer. How many of you hear that and just go, wow, I am living the abundant life in every relationship I got. So sweet to be me right now. Because as men, we're prone for the valley, we're prone to work, but we're prone to drift. And the farther we get away from the mountaintop and the proximity, the more conflict and the more argument and the more garbage and the more bags and the more things pile on. And then they pile on and then they pile on. And someone told us, you need to say a prayer. And someone said, you got to understand that Jesus died for you. And all you got to do is say a prayer, ask him into your life, and he's going to make things better. And so we take him because he's a great tool. And we put him somewhere in the midst of things. And we are, all right, Jesus, sick him. These are the great things in my life, and you're another great thing, and now this is my life, and I've got this, and I've got this, and I've got this, and I got this, and oh yeah, I got Jesus. And God shows up and said, I ain't letting you play that game, boy. Not with my son. He's not going to be part of your life. Are you going to bring all of it? Are you going to bring all of it? And on the mountaintop, they see a great God. On the mountaintop, they see the entire Old Testament show up and say, it has always been, always has been about you, Lord. Peter takes it and makes him a part of the show. They come down the mountain and they go back to what? Great problems. And let me tell you how a man operates. We know there's a great God, but back home we've been robbed. We've been ripped off. We're not living the type of life we feel like we're supposed to live. Great God, great problems. And you have crappy faith. Crappy faith. That's what church always taught me. The problem can't be God. It's you just don't have enough faith. You need to believe. You need to have more faith. You need to have more faith. And yet the Bible said we need this faith the size of a mustard seed. I didn't realize this until I started taking multiple trips to Israel and teaching. Do you realize that the mustard seed in a Palestinian soil weighs over 1,100 pounds? No, that's stupid. Some of you are 1,100 pound mountains. No wonder why mustard's going up. That's stupid. No, it's the tiniest seed. He picks one of the tiniest seeds known. A mustard seed is approximately the same size as a sesame seed on a Big Mac. Now, man, let me promise you, you ever ate a burger with a sesame seed bun, you never sat there and just, I'm picking all these off. I hate chewing up all. No, you don't even know they exist. Great God, you got a great problem. And it's back to, well, I just don't have enough faith. And the dad brings his problem and brings his boy. I don't think there's an area of my life that's not affected by this. The dad doesn't explain what he does. He doesn't give his title at work. He doesn't say how much he's made in the last quarter. He doesn't say how many clients he has. It don't matter if this isn't going well and this isn't going well. And it's affecting every aspect, fire, water, daily. Daily. And I have no right to ask. A man like me shouldn't even be in your presence. Can you just have pity? I'm asking for pity. Pity. Can you do anything? Oh, I love Jesus' response. If you can, said Jesus, if you can do anything, can you have pity? If you can. You have any clue who I am? Boys, tell them what you just saw on the mountain. You told us not to say anything until you rose from the dead. Okay. If I can, Who'd you have lunch with today? We stopped on the road, just me and my boy, and we split some fish and bread. You know who I had lunch with today? Moses and Elijah. If I can. Like Jesus is caught off guard by this. If I can, everything, and here it goes. If I can, everything is possible for him who believes. You know why your life is jacked up? You need to have more faith. Yeah, I know. But the Bible says faith is a mustard seed. But I'm so confused. If I can. And some of you need to stop right there, and you need to understand this. Hey, Chris, okay, you're touching on a few things. You don't have any understanding of where I am as a single guy right now. You don't have any understanding of what I'm dealing with and what I'm struggling with. Chris, you don't understand the problem of my marriage and how long it's gone on. Chris, you don't understand how broken my relationships are at home with my kids or my son or daughter. And Jesus stops and goes, if I can, oh, you think your problems are too big for God? You think your problems are too big for the cross? Who do you think you are? The problem is you've lived with your problem for long enough, you don't see hope. You don't see an answer. You don't think God can change this woman, and you don't think God's gonna change you, and you don't think God's gonna change the situation. I know what's happened. I know how many fire stories we have. I know how many water stories we have. You don't understand how bad it is. I don't think God, and God goes, you don't think I can? What sets Jesus apart is an empty tomb. That's just got to stick with you, man. It means this: our God tends to do great things with dead things. That's what put him on the map. So the more dead your relationship is, the better shot you got. That's what he's known for. And he's all, if I can, all you got to do is believe. And I love the honesty of Pops. Immediately, the boy's father exclaimed, I do believe. Can you help me overcome my unbelief? What's wrong with you? I believe. Can you help me because I don't really believe? And the boy's like, crap, man, this was our one shot. Dad, we walked for 3 days for you to give this answer, and you just, man, I believe. And you believe in God, but can we just be real? But I really don't know if I believe. I believe in God, but I know my crap and my situation far better than I know him, and I just don't think. I'm sorry. I just don't think there's hope for this right now. And it's just honesty. And watch what happens. This is good. How much time? 5 minutes. I got to do this too, otherwise Joe's going to pray, dear Lord, sorry we have to listen to Chris for 12 minutes and then another story. And Steve, that's the problem when you have non-Christians pray for breakfast. If you can't, hey, I just speak truth. You do it the way you want. That conviction was for him alone. How many years back do we go, Joe? Too many. Okay, where was I? ADD is a blessing. I do believe, help me overcome my belief. When Jesus saw that the crowd was running to the scene, he rebuked the evil spirit. You deaf and mute spirit, he said, I command you to come out of him and never enter him again. And the spirit shrieked, convulsed violently, and he came out. And the boy looked so much like a corpse that they said, he's dead. But Jesus took him by the hand, lifted him to his feet, and he stood up. And after Jesus had gone indoors, his disciples asked him privately, hey, why couldn't we drive this out? And he replied, this kind can only come out by prayer. I do believe, but can you help me? Because I don't really know if I believe. And the crowd sees what's going on. The crowd is coming. And Jesus rebuked the evil spirit, sent him out. And the boy shook and fell, poof, dust, dead. And the crowd's like, oh, Jesus killed his son. And they're just like, oh, the dad should have believed. Oh, man. He got some explaining to do when he goes home. And as everyone thought he was dead, he does it again. Jesus stoops. We've seen this before with a 12-year-old girl. And he grabs the boy's hand and he helps him up. You can take him home now. The impossible was just made possible. Oh, it'll be months before you learn to really let go of that kid. You'll still grab his hand every time you're around water. You'll still put him in the chair in the corner of the house when you're making the fire. It gives you time to jump and grab him if the Spirit tries to throw him in, but you'll learn this new normal. You'll learn this abundance, but you can take him home now. Whew. But I didn't think he had the right faith. He didn't know all the right answers. He doesn't even know if Jesus can really do this. He's got an if you can spirit. And apparently Jesus said, you don't understand, Dad. You had me when you showed up. You brought him here. That's when your story ended and mine began. I was just walking you through the process. Dad just went through his deck. And Dad grabbed his boy and said, man, I've tried everything a man could do. I don't deserve it. I can't earn it. I will never live this up. If you are God, you know how broken and pathetic I am. There's no claim. I'm just asking for pity. Pity on a guy whose family's been robbed. But I brought the boy here. If you're going to kill him, kill him. Kill me too. I believe. I don't even know if I believe. But he's here. And Jesus says, you had me when you showed up with them. Oh, northern edge of the Sea of Galilee, I promise. This was a Jewish man. He was a Hebrew believer. He knew the law. He knew the prophets. He would have gone to the synagogue. And he would have gone home. And he would have tried to fix things. And God said, I won't be a part of your fixing. Give the boy to me. Turn him over. I'll take all, or you can go back to playing religion. But look where it's gotten you so far. You've been robbed. You're not living the single life you're supposed to live. Men, you used to control the internet, and now the internet controls you. You were made to marry a woman, and your touch and your words will set her apart. Will make her without spot, without wrinkle, without blemish, but radiant. Ephesians 5. And you will do it until she kills you. And you won't keep record of wrongs, and you won't keep score. And your only example is how Christ loved the church. And he gave himself up for her. Which, by the way, what that passage says is your wife has spots. She has wrinkles. She has blemishes. She has flaws. She is a broken vessel. And the moment you said, I do, that's what you were saying I do to. And you ain't going to be able to pull that one off on your own, boy. You weren't. You were made to do that with the maker and the creator. And you've been trying to do it yourself, and you've been robbed, and you don't have the home, and you know it's not the home I'm supposed to have. And you know there's a great God, but you got great problems. The problem is you have little faith. And yet what the story shows is it wasn't little faith. You just wanted Jesus once again to be a part of it. And the disciples go, why couldn't we drive it out? And Jesus goes, because this comes out through prayer. You don't think they were praying? What is prayer? Prayer is not something we say. It's someone we're with. You know why you couldn't drive it out? Because Jesus was left on the mountain and you were down here by yourself. And you're trying to work out the problems. And what are you doing, sir? What are you doing, sir? Well, it feels like no matter what I do, there's just more conflict and more argument. Congratulations, you're biblical. You're biblical. And there's a man in the crowd that says, this one's about me. Why is it about you? Because I brought my great problem and I'm bringing it to you, and I'm no longer keeping it home, and I'm no longer trying to be dad, and I'm no longer trying to be husband. I'm just bringing it to you, and I have no right, no claim. I'm just asking for pity. If you are the stories that I've heard about, can you? And Jesus goes, can I? Can I? Oh, you think your marriage the last 17 years and the place it got to today is too big for me? How small of a God do you have? Here's all I need from you is belief. Well, I have faith, and I took this course once, 10 Steps to a Better Prayer Life, and I did life groups. He's all, shut up. I'm not talking about what you work, what you strive for. I'm not talking about your knowledge. Is it mine or not? This kid's yours. 3 days ago, I told my wife, I don't know what I'm doing, but I think I know the source of what I'm supposed to be doing. And I don't know where this is going, and I don't know what it's going to mean for my family, but it's yours because I'm done with it. I'm done. And Jesus goes, you had me when you showed up because you brought all of it. You brought all of it. There's a guy every Monday morning that goes to the San Diego airport, and he gets on a direct flight to Dallas-Fort Worth. He will come back every Wednesday evening on the last flight. He's been doing it for a little over 4.5 years now. He knows all the flight attendants. He knows the 8 different crews that rotate in and out of Dallas-Fort Worth. He always sits in the front seat on the aisle. Today they've had a special request. Would you mind taking the window? He's easygoing. Yeah, what's the deal? We got an 83-year-old woman that needs to fly to Dallas-Fort Worth. She's got a sister that's dying. They're twins. She's never flown before. She's lost 2 family members in airline accidents. One was shot down in the war. Another one has some crazy, tragic story. And because of that, she's never wanted to fly. But she got a phone call. If she wants to see her sister one last time, she needs to get on this plane. And she is scared to death, and she's sweating bullets. We want her up front. We want an aisle seat. We want to take care of her. And he goes, yeah, no problem. By the time he gets on to his usual seat, she's sitting in it. They got her on first. She's got her eyes closed, and she's shaking. And he moves to the window seat, and he just whispers, I do this flight every week. I've been doing it for years. You're going to be okay. And she just whispers, not this time. Not this time. You shouldn't be on this flight. He said, I'm good. You're going to be good. It was the longest flight to Dallas he ever took. She never opened her eyes, but she cried 4 different times. She had a flight attendant kneel in front of her and hold her hand for about a half hour. And that flight landed safely that day. Let me ask you a question. Who got there first? The businessman or the woman? Who landed first? I didn't think it was going to be that hard. I'm like, how are you coming up with the woman or the businessman on this one? No one jumped out. They're in the same row. And they both landed at the same time. And they both landed safely. How can that be? When one has all the faith in the world and one has no faith. It wasn't their amount of belief. It was whether or not they got on the plane. Man, this isn't about us getting smart enough, getting right enough, getting good enough. This isn't about us knowing God enough. This is about us just stepping into him and saying, I'm freaking scared spitless. I don't know what this means for me. I don't know what this means for my career. I don't know what this means for my marriage, my family, but I just know I'm done. I'm done. And God, if you can, and I believe, but I really don't believe, and that matches the exact same faith of the dude in here that's been walking with the Lord for 47 years and has the Bible memorized in both Hebrew and Greek. And you're both on the same flight. How can that be? Because it is not the amount of our faith, it is simply the object of our faith. But the object of our faith will not be a part of our life, but he will gladly allow all of you to step into him and say, you got me. And I don't even know where we're going. I don't know what this means. I don't even know what it does. He goes, shut up and buckle up. You had me when you stepped in. I got this. But boy, listen to me. The price I had to pay for you. I've got all of you. Don't step out of this plane. That's going to be a hard fall. And you can go back to the valley and you can keep running it your way, but where's it gotten you? Or you can step out and say, I believe. I really don't know if I believe. I just know I'm done. And he goes, and that's the mustard seed. Let's take this back home. Well, Chris, how? What are we supposed to do? Chris, that's tonight. Some of you last night caught me and said, man, you left me with so many questions. I said, it's part one of a 4-part. Just go to bed. If this was a Sunday message, I would have never left it. And I wouldn't have left this one hanging right now, because you're left with what do we do and how to. That's tonight. We got a lot to chew on and a lot to think about. My bet is some of you right now just need to realize where you've been robbed. 1 Peter 5 says we do have an enemy, and maybe no one told you that the moment you made yourself a Christian, you took on an enemy, and he's really good at what he does. And Peter writes his church, and he goes, our enemy goes around like a snake, and he's going to come up. Now you can outrun a snake. He goes, our enemy goes around like a coyote, and he's like, ah! Now, coyote's like a skinny dog. He's all, you have an enemy like a, not just a lion, but a what? Roaring lion. I was on a safari once in Africa after doing work with Compassion International, phenomenal organization. And they take us on a little safari afterwards, and we come across this pride of lions. There's like 9, 11 of them just, and we roll up like 30 feet, and I'm on the outside of this. I'm like, They're like, as long as you stay in the vehicle, they see you as one. I'm like, there's going to be a day where they walk up and go, you can grab stuff off. It's like a food truck. And our guide goes, someone tell me something about lions. And I pulled out what a seminary professor told me. Hey, when lions roar, they're not hungry. So a roaring lion, he's all bark, he's no bite. And our little African guy goes, oh, it's good. Who tell you that? I said, my professor. And he said, your professor may be very smart in America. He's very stupid here. I'll tell him you said that. Then he said this, roaring lions see men like you and think buffet. You ever had a buddy send you one of those video clips? You don't know what it is. It just has some Africa wilderness, like tall grass. And you're like, what am I watching this for? But because of the idiot it comes from, you're going to keep watching. And then the grass kind of blows down and you see a form of a lion. And then the camera shows this field of, I don't know what they're all called. They're all deer, spirally horned deer, whatever they are. They're all deer. And you're like, oh, and if you're a deer lover, you should probably turn this off. But we watch. And it just goes. And they have that twitch reflex where the lions take off and the deer run. And the lion always chases down one that is weak and alone. Congratulations, man. You have spiritually put yourself in the crosshairs of the enemy. And our culture has taught you how to be weak and alone. And you go, Chris, you don't understand. I feel like my home is being shot to hell right now. Let me promise you, your home is not being shot to hell right now. It is being shot by hell right now. And heaven wants to stand with you. But you're playing games with God. And you want to be part of your show. And your show ain't working. Oh, tonight we turn the corner. We get a bullseye. That's enough to think about. You're like, this is a lousy message. Wait for tonight. Father, thank you. On where you are walking us through Scripture, how you are leading us as men to start to understand who you are, what we're supposed to do with you, and how we're supposed to let go. God, may we find just a mustard seed, and may it all be just your grace, your mercy, not our work, not our might, not our power. You are the vehicle, God. And may we learn to surrender and tap out. And God, give you all. May you walk us through. This is halftime, part 2 of a 4-parter. May you fill in the rest of the dots for us tonight and tomorrow before we go home. And may you leave us with a choice of rowing away from you or stepping into you. And may each of us come to a very clear decision on what we want to do as men once we've heard the truth of you. In Jesus' name, amen.